again from Bangalore. Arun, welcome to the show. You may want to kind of switch on your camera in case any one of you has got your camera on portrait mode. Just turn it around, keep it on landscape mode. Okay. Well,
Switching it
Vijay,
on.
will you do me a favor and just check whether the YouTube live is also live, or and then we can. Anyways, we are starting off. This session is being recorded, so let me just kind of take a moment and set up the tone. What we'll do is over the next 40-45 minutes, we have focused discussion time with Beta, and Beta is one of the foremost experts on Indian native fishes, and he's been on the field for I don't know how many years. We'll ask him now, but I know it's been decades. Okay, and he's got so much to share, and we've got so much to ask. I've already got a list of questions from all of you, so we will start off. So, Beta, if you are ready,
Yeah,
okay. So
trying different lighting tricks.
okay. So let's start, Beta. Why don't I'm going to put you in a spot right now, and I'm going to ask you to take a minute and give us a little background on yourself. While all of us have been fans and have been following you, this is more for the rest of the folks who are watching and who will be watching the final episode, which will be the edited version that will be shared across. Hi, Tushar. Welcome to the
I am
show.
on. Yeah.
So we've just started off. Okay, Beta, over to you.
Yeah. So it's my I have a Purana Rishta with sisters. That's how they say it, right? Um, so I started very very early. So I think I must have been like 5 years old when I caught my first fish in Kerala, where we used to live for a short time, around 5 years. But that kind of kindled my my love for fishes, and I've carried on. And then we came back to Chennai in 1987. It's a long time back. And since I think 88, I got my proper glass tank and all that. And since then, I've been keeping fishes. And I think late 90s is when I had another inspiration, we can say, after my first trip to the Eastern Ghats, that what I would love to do in my life and what would be my legacy, you know, is to explore and document Indian native fishes. And I still feel that way. That probably I don't know if there'll be the Earth will be there after 100 years, but after 100 years, if somebody asks, okay, there is a guy called Beta who was born. What did the Earth benefit anything out of him being born, or did he just consume oxygen and all the resources? Uh, I think that is what, yeah. So that has become my passion, right? So for the last 25 odd years, I've been traveling, but for the last 20 years, I would say I've been able to capture, with, taking photographs and so on. I was a terrible, terrible photographer, even though I graduated in visual communication, so I should have been very good at it, but actually did computer graphics instead of photography. But then I've been slowly getting better at it, where now I'm comfortable to showcase fishes both in the wild as well as in my aquarium, right? So I think it took more than a minute, but yeah, that's where it is. When you're old, you have a lot of things to say.
Beta is being too modest. He's got a permanent exhibition, which is showcased in the Chennai Public Aquarium. The next time any one of you is in Chennai, do visit it, and it's a very nice public aquarium also, which is set up by his friend. So, Beta, let's start because I've got a list of questions, and I will, while I'm going to try and put some structure around it, but let me start by shooting the first question that came, and that one is from Dheeraj. And Dheeraj, your question is regarding the Indian mud skippers, and you needed more information about their habitat and breeding pattern. Okay, and he's got a follow-up question also, but we'll take it one at a time. So, Dheeraj, do
Sure.
you want to ask your question, and then I'll just kind of move around?
Yes. Beta sir, I was always fascinated about these Indian mud skippers. Okay, so I recently saw that article that about you with Arvind. So I would like to know
Yeah,
more about it, like
yeah,
about the habitat, or is it found in our mangrove region also, or is it in a specific area where these mudskippers are found?
Rishik,
sure. Hope
तेरा
you can
मोबाइल है
hear
ना?
me clearly, right? Is my voice clear?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. It is.
Yeah, you gave me a full toss, right? Because that's something that I've made a lot of mistakes with keeping mud skippers. So I had to consult a lot of scientists before I got my mud skipper, raising mud skipper kind of right? So let's start with the habitat. So most of the fishes, the mud skippers that come to the trade are from Sundarbans, right? Sundarbans, the mud flats from there, right? So you can kind of split it up into two type of mud skippers. One is the smaller ones, which I think are suitable for aquarium, which is one is Novum radiatus, very easy to November if you remember, like November and September. There's Novum radiatus and there is September radiatus. Novum radiatus doesn't have any blue in the body. September radiatus males have a lot of blue in the body, right? That's one way of remembering that. Those are the two species I would recommend that you can keep in the aquarium because one, they are not specialized feeders, so you can feed them, worms and all these things. Second is they are the smallest. Mud skippers are territorial fishes, so if you see them in the wild, the males are constantly fighting over territory, right?
Correct.
And if you see that most of our aquariums are typically like say 3 feet or like that, the one that was featured in our, the Weekend Aquarist Magazine, which is Boleophthalmus bodate, that's a large mud skipper. So if you have like a 6 feet tank, you can probably keep a pair. Otherwise, they're difficult to keep. Second, they also are specialist algae feeders. While they can eat non-algae based food in captivity, if you observe them in the wild, what they're doing is they're always grazing on the surface of the mud to eat the algae, right?
Oh yeah.
So if you see, these are the three. See, there are other goby kama mud skippers again, goby slash mud skippers like Apocryptus bato and all that. They're not. I don't consider like pure mud skippers because they don't always live in the land. While Novum radius, Septum radiatus, Boleophthalmus, you will see 90% of the time they are in the land, right? And only when they are threatened, they will go into their burrows.
Okay.
Okay. So I will, save you the trouble of asking the, follow-up question because Amar had sent it to me. So another reason why I recommend the dwarf mud skippers is because they need to burrow, right? So if you think of Boleophthalmus, it's a 5-inch fish, right? And imagine for a 5-inch fish, you need to have like a sand thickness or rather mud thickness of around 7 to 8 inches so that they can burrow, right?
Okay.
Which is quite challenging. While your dwarf mud skippers like Novum radiatus, they need only like say 4 to 5 inches thick mud for them to burrow. Okay.
Okay.
The best way to keep them is to you do a tide tank where you have a sump with which with a pump you can and a timer you can regulate the tide, right? If you cannot do that, then you can go for a regular, like a mud kind of tank, but then they don't expect that they will breed in it,
Okay.
right? And a very very important aspect of mud skipper keeping is that do not use sand, beach sand, aragonite, coral chips. Don't use all that. They kind of irritate the skin. So you should always use mud, right? So mud, when I say mud should be of a consistency which helps them to burrow, right? So it should not collapse when they do it. So the way that I've set up is that I've used three types of clay.
Okay.
One is the potter's clay that you get. Second is the bentonite clay, Bentonite clay. And the third is kaolin, Kolin clay. I think the bentonite and kaolin, they're used in the cosmetic industry. But if you need, I can, give you the contacts from where to get it. if you, because you need it in larger quantity, right? You can buy it off, e-commerce. But
Okay.
then you need to do a combination of all three clays till you get the perfect consistency, which will let them burrow. Okay,
Okay.
and I typically also add powdered activated carbon into it, both for removing any chemicals that are leached in the process of mixing, these different types of clay, and also it gives a darker texture to the soil,
Okay.
right? So, I mean, just to summarize, uh, clay. I mean, you need a mix of mud and clay. You need consistency so that the burrow. It can burrow and it doesn't collapse. And importantly, you also keep in mind that just keep 20 to 30% of of the aquarium, of the base of the aquarium, with you can cover with water. 70 to
Okay.
80% has to be mud or clay, however you want to call it, right? Because they don't actually spend a lot of time in the water, and even the water, don't keep it more than, let's say, 1.5 to 2 inches, right? And preferably you can do a sloping so that you can give them that 5 to 6 inch depth at the middle level of the tank so that they can burrow. Because the burrowing habitat is a very beautiful thing to watch. In terms of decoration, I use mangroves. So I have a couple of mangroves growing it. Uh, I mean, you will. I mean, I can tell you probably later on how to grow the mangroves. But also, you can use as a companion. You can put the fiddler crabs, the uka species fiddler crabs. You can add them. Both of them will build burrows, and they can live together, right? So I hope I covered most of the questions. If there's anything else, you can let me know. We will move on.
That was
Yes.
good, Beta. Thanks for that, and that started it off. So I'm going to move on to Sunil because he's got an
Yeah.
interesting
Before that, I
question.
think there is a question on chat from S. Ram.
We'll hold on to
Uh,
that. We'll
I think
acknowledge
it's a
that.
follow-up question to what Dheeraj asked. Do you
Oh,
want
is it?
to finish that? Or?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So do not. If I don't know if you're doing a tight tank, right? If you're doing a tight tank, then you need to have a barrier of foam to kind of reduce the silt that is going in, right? So there is no other choice, and also you'll have to take the impeller out and clean it, because the mud will go into the impeller, and that's where you'll have the problem. So I mean, just a two-step process. One is that add a layer of foam around it, like a barrier. Second is make sure you clean the impeller often, because there will be a deposit of clay. Okay. I think we can move on to the offline questions again. Amit.
Yep. Thanks, Ram. Okay. So, Sunil, you had a question, and I'm going to ask you to only narrate that question for Beta.
Oh, okay, okay. Like Vita and me have been associated through Indian Aquarium Hobbies from last 20 years. When I attended the first IH meet in, I think so, 2004. And my question is, in the aquarium hobby, canarensis refers to the Canara pulse spot cichlid, Itropelis canarensis, the rare and peaceful freshwater fish native to the South Canara, India. I wanted to know about this fish and the story how it became the logo of Indian Aquarium Hobbies, and what are the, how do we keep it in the aquarium?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So I don't know if you know the history behind it, right? It was considered lost or an extinct fish till the mid 90s. So people thought it had gone extinct. Sorry, and it was only in the mid 90s that it was rediscovered, right? And very interestingly, so I have a friend called Vinny Kuti. He's of Indian origin, but he's based in the US. He's very famous for pike cichlids, and I think right now he keeps planted aquariums also. So he's one of the the OG aquarists. So he had reached out to me asking whether have you seen this canarensis, and I think it is in the late 90s that he asked me, right? And I was not aware of this fish at all. I was not aware of canarensis. So then I started searching for it, asking a lot of people. Nobody had seen it, or I mean, at least my network, nobody had seen it. But by chance, there is I had visited a local aquarium store called Southern India Aquarist in Chennai. At one time, they used to be the biggest aquarium store in Chennai. I used to be a regular visitor, and there I found 3 specimens of canarensis, and that is kind of like a, it's like you search for a gem and you find it kind of a thing, because I was searching for it all over, and it was like, say, the place is called T Nagar, which is like, say, probably 20 minutes from my house. So I found that, because they also export native fishes. So I think it had come in with, one of the export set, and probably this is the surplus that they had, left it in their retail tank where I saw it. I got it. So from then, I wanted to kind of figure out this fish. I did the studies. I spoke to a few ichthyologists, and in 2005 we made the trip to their habitat. Right. So for me, it was like at that point that seemed to me a very distinct fish. Right, endemic. Because in terms of cichlids, we only have 3 native cichlids, right? But only canarensis is endemic, and also being a hobbyist who came from keeping cichlids, discus and all that, I always had an attraction to cichlids, and this being it, that's how it kind of inspired that logo. So there are 2 choices, Sunil. Can you guess which was the other choice for the logo, IH logo? You could if you read Weekend Aquarist, you will know. Did you get the latest version edition, Sunil?
Yeah, just I not gone through it. I just got it. Yeah.
So it's on the cover. Yeah. It's the dwarf gourami.
Okay.
So
okay.
we made we made 2 logos, one with canarensis and one with dwarf gourami, and we all kind of voted among that, like 5 or 6 of us, and then we decided canarensis is going to be the logo.
See.
Yeah. So this was by a narrow margin, it didn't become the logo of IH. So that's the story behind it.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think so. We had gone for a fishing trip near that temple in Scenery or what, something like that, where I found this with Trevor and Madan and all, and in the shallow waters next to the river temple only. There was a pair with the fry. I could have the fortunate experience of seeing them in the live, the habitat.
Yeah, I mean, for the others, Sunil is one of the few who managed to land upside down in a fishing trip. Sunil, do you remember that?
Yeah. Actually, I remember the experience. We were the race F1 driver. I was sitting with him. And he took he tried to do a skid in the mud road, and our whole vehicle got turned turtle, and we were upside down.
Yeah,
that was the experience.
They tried drifting, and Sunil stopped coming for collection trips to Karnataka.
Who was the driver? Navneet Kumar.
Yeah, Navneet Kumar.
I don't think you know that Navneet now. He's I think a racing instructor now.
Oh. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
lucky
that
for
was
you.
Quite an experience. Yeah.
Okay, so the next one I would like to ask our guest from Dubai to kind of share his question, and you're going to like this one because it's one of your favorite topics. Beta, it's about a monster fish. So Vijay, over to you.
Thanks, Amar. I mean, good to know, Meenkar. I've been following you, but got to know more about you deeply through the Weekend Aquarist and through Amar. I'm actually even more connected to the biotope world and all the posts that you do. It's good to talk to you in person. I've been chatting through the Facebook also, like, clarifying certain questions. You always get back. So good to see that you're humble while you have a plethora of knowledge. My question is around Malabar snakehead, right? we used to call that as varal in my young times. Just like what you said, my when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, like my dad used to bring this in buckets from native. Right. So at that time, it's only a fish which attracted me because it can travel a distance, right? And I remember my dad used to say that it moves from one place to the another whenever the rainy season happens, right? By sliding through the mud. But beyond that, my question is, I don't see that much locally in Kerala, right? I had a recent experience where I went to Kottayam in Kumarakom and I saw this live, but I'm not sure whether it's a local variety. So, what is your experience around it? Because I know this is actually something, I believe this is actually something which was heritage to us. Is it still there as a pure variety? What is the biotop that they live in? Did you have any experience seeing this in the wild? And is it still in large numbers, or is there any conservation effort that's going on? So, in a
Yeah,
nutshell,
very
that was the
strangely,
question.
Vijay, I have also seen Malabar snakehead in Kumaragam. That's the only place where I've seen it
Yeah.
in the habitat. I have not seen it anywhere else, but I think very commonly the anglers, catch it. Okay. The one difference is that I have some bias in terms of where I visit mostly, because I look for clearer water so that I can photograph underwater. And most places where you find Malabar snakeheads is in the main waterways, right? More like, see, these are open water snakeheads compared to swamp snakeheads like Barka and some, right? So open water snakeheads, but the water is not very clear. So mainly, I am not concentrated on that area, but I mean, it's very difficult for me to comment whether the numbers have gone down. Seeing the number of angling videos, people do catch them in large numbers, but it is very difficult. It's one of the challenges of figuring out whether a fish population is good or not is because it needs multi-pronged approach, right? One is that unlike tigers or anything where you can put a camera trap and figure out how many tigers pass that way, fish is very difficult. The typical way that scientists decide whether the population is healthy or not is by doing a survey where they visit the habitat. They throw cast nets or different nets, and they see how much they caught. Right. So either they compare it with previous years, how many were caught, or going by history and all that. Right. But the challenge is that what I have noticed, right? So this is not very scientific. It's what I'm saying is anecdotal. Is that a fish can be in that area during one season, but might not be there in the next season. But again, will reappear because of their migratory routes or how they move during rainy season and all that, right? Maybe they move to deeper waters and things like that. So for me, it is very challenging. So whenever people ask me whether canarensis is extinct or not, right? For example, right? I will say canarensis is not anywhere near extinction because I go to their habitat and I see a lot of them.
Mm.
But in the scheme of things, where there 10,000 canarensis earlier, now there are only 5,000. I'll not be able to tell because I am not a scientist. I have not studied them over the years. But
So I'm
anecdotally, I can
also,
see.
yeah, I mean, I'm also looking it from a common man perspective, right? Because this is a fish which was actually very close to our heritage those days, right? But what I see is like there's a lot of these non-native fishes which actually coming into farming, and the source for this, like you said, is like if you only go to particular places is where you'll have that scene. So I wanted to see whether this was actually due to its dwindling in population, or there's no enough focus on studying about this particular wonderful fish.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there is evidence to support either thing, right? It's
Mhm.
supporting whether the population is strong or the population is weak. As I said, it's all anecdotal. If you ask an angler, they will say probably because they catch a lot of that and pseudomorelius, that it's a healthy population. But then with every species, what you see is that as there is more development, you will see that it is dwindling. Like for example, the dwarf gourami that's on the cover, I used to find it like say 10 minutes from my house when I was a kid. Now I'll have to probably travel for probably 1.5 hours to 2 hours to find it, right?
Mm.
So I'm sure the population has gone down because anytime you build, anytime when we call it development, for the fish, it is not, never development, right? For the fish, it is always down, down, right? Because there's more pressure on them as a food fish because they're important as a food fish as well. There's no more pressure on those stocks. So while scientifically we cannot say, I'm sure it is going down. I've checked with the. I mean, I was in Kochi 2 months back, I think, right? So I had a look at the breeding projects that are happening in the government. So Malabar snakehead was not as part of their breeding program. They were breeding other species like Porobagrus. They were breeding that. They were breeding Ompok. They were breeding Garas. Quite a few loaches and so on. But Malabar snakehead, I don't think there is a breeding program as far as I know. At least the places that I visited, they don't have. But I can check and probably if you ping me back after a week, and I can tell you what exactly is the situation if anybody has taken it up.
Sure,
Because
sure.
typically it is NBFGR, KUFOS in Kerala who is taking up these breeding projects. But I'm not aware of Malabar snakehead being taken up for breeding. But I'll find out why they're not doing it if they're not doing it.
Sure. Thanks, Beta, for this. I have one more question which I actually didn't send to Amma earlier. This is also one of my other favorite fish in Kerala, right? Which is, I don't know whether it's actually origin from Kerala, which is called the pearl spot. What we call as karimeen,
Yeah.
right? I don't know if there are different varieties of karimeen because I have on my left side I have a discus tank, but this reminds me of the wild discus reminds me of the pearl spot, right? So I want to know what varieties does it exist in wild, and what's your experience around it, if at all you had
So
any.
Suratensis, there is only one species. The whatever Karimeen Pollichadu is something that I love, but there's only one species. But they do coexist with the maculatus, the orange chromides. So I've seen them living together. But Karimeen is being bred in captivity. So from that standpoint, because it's an important food
Edible
fish,
fish.
there is a lot of seed production of karimeen. But I don't think there is any line breeding or anything like that that's happening for Suratensis, right? And
This
that's
is
only
one
one
of my
species.
interests, like on the karimeen and the Malabar snakehead. This is something that I want to take it up sometime soon.
Yeah, definitely. They both deserve a lot of attention.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Vita.
Hey,
Thanks,
thanks for
Vijay.
dialing.
Okay, Arun,
Thanks, Amma,
over
for
to
giving me
you.
the opportunity before I.
Not at all. Not
Yeah.
at all. We are going to have many more such opportunities. Arun, over to you.
Yeah. Uh, Good morning or good evening to everyone. Right. I have found beta maybe an year back after COVID, and suddenly Facebook threw it up saying you might be interested, and then that's how I got to know about beta. And I went to his G Drive or say Google Drive, downloaded couple of pictures. Still, my desktop is having your naked photographs, right? So people here used to ask, "Hey, what is this?" That's how conversation starts in office, right? So thanks for that. My question was more on having say local native fishes. I had two aquariums at home. One was maybe not now, little earlier. Those That was a mistake, by the way. Like I had one most likely the Amazon, and then how do I say, Rasboras, the smaller varieties, right? And I had one more which is of native species like smaller barbs. You remember Koravai in Tamil, right? So I used to keep those also together. And then the native fish tank broke. Then I added it to my main aquarium. So then it was
Okay.
a bloodbath. So all the rasboras were gone inside couple of seconds. So that's how it all started. But my only concern is whenever I try to keep these native fishes, it doesn't survive for long. One, it could be either my understanding on what's their food needs and things like that, like the biotope requirements, stuff like that. So if you can explain much, I mean, a little bit there, that would help, because I try to keep them, but I'm not able to sustain it. Max would be like 3 to 6 months is where I'm able to sustain it. Like you mentioned, I have lakes close by, and I used to get lots of gouramis there, but now it's very rare there. It's predominantly taken over by the African catfish or the tilapia. So those are the
Yeah, I
major
think that's
ones.
the case everywhere, Arun. Anywhere you go, I think it's the same thing that I see, unless it is in the upper reaches, upper altitudes where these native fishes, sorry, the invasive fishes not being able to go. But your question is very important, and I think the solution is also important, but it needs a little bit of patience, right? What you need to remember is that, especially waterways near us, I mean, there's two ways of looking at it, right? One is, what is the best fish suitable for you to keep is the native fish which is lives close to you, which means that they have already adapted to, or not already, you have adapted to that place, but then
Hmm.
the fishes have been living there and they're used to that water. Probably I'm in Chennai and the fishes from Chennai, we are both brethren in terms of managing the heat, right? So that is the best place to take. I mean, it's the most, I would say, the best way to do it. But the problem is also that the more close it is to, habitation, in terms of human habitation, there is a chance there is pollution. There is also a lot of diseases which are there due to this human interference, mostly human interference, right? So what I've noticed when I've done collection around where I live or near urban areas is that they always have infections, which when you catch from the wild, those are the ones which have survived those infections in a way, right? But when you bring them into your aquarium, they are under stress till they settle down, during which the dormant infection. I am not explaining it very scientifically, but just you know, just think of it this way, right? They are under stress when you bring them from the lake or pond to your tank. During that stress, they will come down with infections, and they'll also have internal parasites which will affect, because when the body is weak, that's the time they attack, right? So the simple solution for long-term success, especially with fishes from your own area, is quarantine, right? So you do like a 1 month quarantine separately in a bare bottom tank with some decor, like say I used pipes, PVC pipes, the terracotta pots to keep them safe, and you do a medication for both internal and external parasites, for example. Like I use, for external, I use I mean, I don't do the chemical part of it. I buy, so I get readily, there is a disease, anti-parasite created. I'm not doing a sponsorship here, but there's an anti-parasite medicine that's produced by Ocean Free, OF anti-parasite something. I use that for external, and I use something called as Prazi Pro, which is made by Hikari for internal deworming. Right. So if you go through this protocol, uh, irrespective of where you catch the fish from, there is a chance that during this quarantine period they will die, because probably they are too far gone, or whatever medication that you are using is not effective, because over and above internal and external parasites, there are so many things that can hurt the fish, right? But for you to have long-term success, whatever comes out of the quarantine cycle, they will do well in your tank, because they are clean fishes. They have a clean gut. They have a clean body as such. They are used to food. They have not been exposed to any other infection after their, right. Then you will have a greater success. Also, you can get a fish, they might not show, but there'll be something happening internally, like parasites or something like that. And then suddenly they will die, and you won't have any idea why they died, right? They'll still be eating, but suddenly they'll die, right? So, only solution that I can give you is quarantine, right? Because whatever you do, there's a chance that some fishes are going to die. But for you to save that 90% of the fishes that you get, quarantine is definitely important. While I'm giving you all this advice, I don't quarantine all the fishes, very frankly, because let's say cold water or subtropical fishes, I don't have the opportunity to quarantine them because they need cold water from the get go, right? So I prefer first getting them acclimated to Chennai weather and then doing the treatment in the tank rather than going through that quarantine process. Because if I go through the quarantine process, I am sure they will not survive that quarantine process unless I have a chiller and things like that. I have the flow and things like that, right? So that's how I try that for the next set of fishes, and I'm sure you'll be successful with it.
Got
Awesome.
it. Thanks. I think you touched upon the right point, but I'm from the Kanchipuram district, right? I had,
Okay.
I would say, large number of lakes. So now most of them are going through infrastructural changes, and the places where I used to sit and watch fish are slowly moving out, or say that no longer exist. Thanks.
Yeah, that's sad. I think you will see this everywhere. I was in Meghalaya in December, right? I saw so many beautiful streams without a single fish in them because a lot of chemicals have gone into the water. So it's kind of I mean, I don't know. It's not very comforting to give you like a negative view, but it is not just very urban areas. Wherever there is tourism, there is pressure. Wherever there is urbanization, wherever there is, like, say, a hydroelectric project, dams, and things like that, these become, there is some impact on these fishes, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, Tushar, and we've got some questions lined up also, but Tushar has been in and out. So before he goes out again, I'm going to ask Tushar to ask his question. Go ahead, Tushar.
Hi, Vita. Good evening.
Hey,
I'm following you from IH. I've been very silent member, and you may not know me, but I've been following you on Facebook and Instagram, and your fish room is simply stunning, and it is very heartening to see such a beautiful setup in India. So maybe I am from Mumbai, and we are not used to such big places that we can have our own fish room, but it's very nice to see your fish room. So yeah, so my question is, been uh, I've been hearing a lot about this about our native fishes, but some few practical things that came into my mind. One is so most of our native fishes may not take dry food; they will have to have live food uh, for their survival. They have very predatory instinct, and they will only eat live food. So and it is not always possible, at least for some people like me, to always have live food ready for them. So which are the fishes that we can keep which can survive on dry food or take external food? uh,
sure.
yeah.
I would say, I mean, just throwing out a number, right? So 70% of the fishes will eat dry food, right? Now, among the popular fishes that you see in the aquarium trade, which will need live food, is the red baddest, which is called Dario, the puffer fish, the pea puffers, right? There's the anchor catfish. I think they call it stone catfish and moth catfish and so on, right? There are some of these which definitely are problematic. If you can't give them live or frozen food. So even in Chennai, while I get live food, I don't get live food throughout the year. So I always have 1 month stock of frozen food with me, which is like frozen bloodworms, frozen artemia, and all that, right? So if you want to start out, uh, I would say all the barbs, right? Whether they are small barbs or big barbs, they will eat dry food. All the danios will eat live food, all right? So these two make up a very major portion of the fishes in our hobby, right? Similarly, all the labyrinth fishes, which include the gauramis, which include the spike tail gaurami, the dwarf gaurami, all of them will eat dry food. So that's not an issue. This I would say very uh, like, say, in my fish room, I have 17 aquariums, and probably only four of those aquarium definitely need life food,
Okay.
right? So, and those are really specialized fishes, which I have to keep very carefully with water temperature and all that, right? So I would say that that's a lot of headache, right? So it's not something that I recommend go on. You should keep fish that you are comfortable with, and you can give it, good care. And today's dry food, and I don't want, again, it's not a sponsorship thing. I've used dry food from at least three different Indian manufacturers. I will say that they were really good, right? So today I don't think I use any imported dry food as of today, right? I don't use any imported frozen food as of today as well. So I think we're doing really well from that standpoint, right? So I'll just drop those names that I'm using, right? Not for you to buy it, but just to say, and these are all competitors, by the way. The Life, Are You, Terra, what else is there? Like one or two
Intan is
foods like
there.
that. Huh?
Inten also.
Intan is there.
Yeah, Intan. I've used all these foods, right? So all of them are good. From my perspective, obviously I'm not keeping this. I have discussed and all time angels, but I have not seen any, like from my old years where I used to import food and all that, like Tetra bits and all those fancy stuff. I don't see any difference now when I'm keeping them with, you know, food manufactured by Indian market. So it's really good. So that is one part I would say we are doing well, right? And unlike I think the hardware stuff, we are still not good with filters and all that. Lights we are doing good, but still I think I'm just going back to, I don't want to digress. With dry food, you can keep native fish successfully. And I say that 90% or 95% of the fishes that you find in aquarium stores can be kept, Indian native fish can be kept with dry food.
Okay.
Awesome.
So
Thanks, Tushar. Do you have any other question,
no,
Tushar?
there I had to follow, but one of them is been like answered. So I was wondering which food fish we can keep in 2 by 1 by 1 tank. But I think small barbs and anus I can definitely keep.
Yeah, you can definitely keep. Just think of this, no? Whatever, since you're in Mumbai, what you will find in Kurla, you will get Petia canius, you'll get Neocella dadi burdorai, you'll get Zebra danios.
Yeah, yeah.
What else? You get varieties, the drape fin barb, high fin barb. So if you go to Kurla, definitely you can fill the 2 feet tank. Yeah, I'm 100% confident that you can
We also do
set up
get
the
some
tank.
loaches in SGNP. Yes, last year I visited the
Okay.
quarry there, and it was near the stream. I saw baby loaches there, but I did not had setup at that time, so I could not get them at home. But I definitely saw
Those
them. So
loaches will eat dry food. There are only some specialized hill stream loaches which don't eat dry food, which are more dependent on biofilm. But all the loaches like what you're saying, I think it is Indorianactis. If you found it in a Korea, it will be Indorianactis. That will eat dry food. It's not a problem.
okay, cool. Thanks, beta.
So
So all
I'm
the best to
moving
you.
on.
Send me a photo of your 2 feet native tank soon. I think within the next, you set a target that we are on 12th October, so probably by end of October you can send me a photo of your native
So
tank.
firstly, I have to get.
And you have Sunil. I mean, he's I don't know. He's like the mafia don.
He's part of Sunil's WhatsApp group also.
Yeah. Then how can
You've got it.
you don't have any excuse? Sunil, Sunil, come on, help them. You're on mute. You're on mute.
You're on mute, Sunil.
You're
You're
still on
still on.
mute.
Okay, while Sunil figures that out, let's move on. I'm just looking at the time also. Tuhin Pal has a question, Beta. Which plants can be used for Western Ghat biotopes?
Yeah. So to him, what I've noticed is that you have. I mean, I don't know what kind of aquarist you are. It's not what kind of aquarist. There are like I have plants in my aquarium. I'm not a planted aquarium guy, but I have plants in my aquarium. So if you are that kind of a guy who's like me, for whom fishes are more important, you can go with Cryptocorini and Laginandra. Okay, so that's what I would recommend. Laginandra needs a larger tank, Cryptocorini, there are quite a few species that you get. You get Cognatoides, you get Retrospiralis.
Spiralus,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, so you get few Indian species, right? So that is for the lazy hobbyist like me. If you're somebody who likes to test the water, see how much light is coming, take par reading, inject CO2, add fertilizer and all that, then you can go for the stem plants like Pinnatifida from Maharashtra. You have the Rotalas, you have Limnophilas. What is the Starogani, Eriocolon if you are very, very adventurous, right? So you do have a lot of plants like that. So you'll have to decide based on that. As I said, if for you plants are more important and you are able to, spend that effort, then you can go for Eriocolon and all that. But if you want to play, you want more hardier plants, you can like Anubias type equivalent, then you go for Laginandra
Lagenandra.
and Cryptocorini.
Yeah.
I hope I
So,
answered that question.
and we've got one more question coming up. That's lots of people, including myself, have koi ponds. Would prefer
Uh,
large Indian native fish instead of koi. What are your suggestions?
Koi ponds typically they don't have. I am not sure how much flow they have. So if it's a very well filtered pond, then you can put like if you have really good flow, you can put tors, and you have a very large pond, you can put tors. For little smaller pond, you can use Hypsilobarbus. For even smaller pond, you can use Dawkinsia, right? And for algae eating, you can either have Garas or you can use any of the labios, the smaller labios, Sirinus, all that you can use for algae eating, right? So that is a combination that you'd use. As I said, a lot of it will depend on water flow, right? If you don't have a lot of water flow, it's best to go with Gauramis and smaller barbs and things like that, like right. But also depends on whether you want people to see the fish and say, "Wow," right? There's a difference between having a 1 lakh koi carp with which looks like it was drawn with crayons versus a tar or anything like that because it's going to be largely a silver fish till they become an adult and they can show the colors, right?
Yeah.
So that's a trade-off. It's only for your personal satisfaction. You can go with any of those tars if you have a lot of flow, very good filtration, and large volume. Ipsilobarbus, if you have little smaller tank ponds, but still good flow, and if you have even more smaller one, I'm sure I'm not quantifying it like liters and all that, but you get the idea. Dawkinsias, right? So the size difference, Dawkinsias they get to 6 inches, Ipsilobarbus to around 1 foot, Tor to about 2 foot, right? So I hope you get the picture.
Yeah. And we also have somebody from the US, Mexicali Fish Keeper. He says hello from the US.
Hey,
So thanks for
hi.
joining. Awesome. So, I just didn't realize we are close to almost 50 minutes now, close to an hour. Any closing questions from anybody that I may not have, brought up. So
Vijay,
please
I
need
don't
to
know,
raise the
did
hand.
you follow the question for mangrove? You've asked a question on mangrove biotoxicity.
Yeah, I was
Anyone
just,
who,
I heard you mentioning about it. You said you'll come back and touch that topic, like how to set up a biotope for.
Okay. No, I was planning to talk to Dheeraj directly because that's a bit of a subject on its own.
We can connect
Um, yeah,
offline.
yeah. So I can help you with that. Yeah.
Hamad sir, I have one question.
yeah.
Like, how many varieties of these hill stream loaches are there in India?
So broadly, if you see, there are three genus, right? One is Balitora. So in Western Ghats, you have Chipkali, Laticauda, Mysorensis. Then in the north, you have Bruchai, right? Then you have Gatsa, which earlier used to be Homoloptera. They are smaller loaches. So they are highly specialized. Gatsa is very, very difficult to keep. In from my experience, I've never been successful in keeping it for more than 2 months because they are found in really pristine waters, cooler waters, and like with a lot of biofilm. I've been to their habitat. It's like drinking water, basically. right? So it's like that. Then you have Travancoria. So you have two species, which is Elongata and Jonasai, both which are found only in Kerala. Again, they're very sensitive fishes, right? Yeah, that's basically it. Those are three genus with all those loaches. But the fourth genus is the most common and easiest to keep, which is Bavania. So you have Bavania australis, which is my favorite fish that I keep telling, and then Anandalai, which is a little more, their range is little more restricted, right? Australis is the one that you find more easily. The problem with all the hill stream loaches, obviously, they need cool, well oxygenated water, and they need biofilm to do well, right? So Bhavani Astral is the only one that I have found which can handle, like say, 28 degrees temperature, which can handle Chennai climate. Like I have mine for I think 5 years now. Bhavani Astral is a group I have for 5 years without any problems. It has gone through one flood. It has gone through power cuts and a lot of things, but it's been in a stable situation. But I wouldn't recommend keeping any other thing other than Balitoras and Bavania.
So can we? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Gatsa and Travancoria, I would rule it out unless you have a chiller and you have a very mature tank with a lot of biofilm.
Okay. So is it easy to breed them in an aquarium?
I don't know. I've been trying to breed them for like more than 10 years, but then I'm also trying to breed it in Chennai. So I have not been successful. If you see the videos, I have some videos of them sparring or mating. I'm not sure in my YouTube channel, but I've never seen fry. I am not sure if anybody has a verified breeding of Bhavani or any other loaches, any other hill stream loaches. I'm saying there are. I know for some of the loaches, like Skishtura scatterguna, I saw when I was in NBF jar, I saw them breeding. They have a lot of fry. So that is being bred, but not the proper hill stream loaches.
Okay.
So we have
it's a very good breeding project.
Beta, we have one last question that is from Kalaskar Venkatesh. Is it mandatory to have similar water chemistry as it was from where the native fish was collected? Or should we go for the fish optimum range according to species?
Okay. So the way I would see it is that, let's say, what are the parameters to keep a fish healthy, right? So one is nutrition, right? One is obviously water, right? You can say temperature is another criteria, right? Among these three criteria, I find temperature and nutrition easy to control. I find water chemistry difficult to control, especially at my scale where I have a ton of tanks, right? Fishes will adapt to stable water chemistry. They prefer stable water chemistry, right? So like aged water and things like that. But like I'll give you an example. If you take a subtropical snakehead, like say Channa, Bipulai, Pardalis, Strictos or Aristone, right? And move it to the plains, like say even Mumbai, right? They will lose color. So they will lose the blue color, but you can still keep them alive. They will still do well and all that, right? But the reason why they lose color, I think it is because of the temperature, right? I don't think it's because of the water chemistry or the nutrition. Probably they play a role. It's not scientific, whatever I'm saying. So for me, if you want to work with water chemistry, be sure you can provide that stable conditions throughout, because they don't like going haphazard, right? Like say like when I used to keep altums, I used to drop the pH very low by using distilled water, alder cones, and peat moss, and a lot of things, right? And once they were well settled, then I would move them to tap water, which is easier for me, right? I still last time I kept any of the wild discus also, I've done that. But for native fishes, I don't do it. I always make sure I give them an aged water or aged tank when I bring them in, right? And I find as long as the water is stable, water chemistry is stable, whether it is high pH, low pH, or whatever, they do well. But an important thing is there: will they breed with that chemistry? Like if I bring a fish and I put it in hard water, a soft water fish in hard water, will they breed? Uh, a domestic fish will breed. Whether a wild caught fish will breed depends on how adaptable it is, right? So, for example, if you take a fish which is quite adaptable and you put it in hard water or soft water, it will still breed. Probably the amount of fry that is there or all that will, might not happen, right? But then I have bred canarensis in, in Chennai hard water, right? Similarly, I've bred pseudolaguia, which is a very, very sensitive hill stream fish from North Bengal, right? With stable conditions, without altering any water chemistry, right? So it is. So I'm saying, so there is no prescriptive thing, but my recommendation is, if you're able to give stable water conditions, like say you take a soft water fish and you bring it to and you can bring it into your aquarium and give it soft water throughout its lifetime, good. If you can't do it, I would suggest that you give it stable conditions and be happy if uh, they do well, right? You might not be able to breed them in some cases, right? So it is a trade-off. I cannot say don't give it. The fish will be angry with me if I say don't give it soft water. But it's more about which of those three parameters, temperature, or, nutrition, and all, which of those you are able to play with and keep it happy. Hope that answered your question, not confuse you further.
Yes, it was very well answered, and it's been such a wonderful session. I just wanted to remind everyone that this particular session was planned as an exclusive for the Weekend Aquarist magazine readers. So thank you all for joining. And Beta, I can't thank you enough for doing this session. And I want to plan another one, and that is one where you give us some photography trip tips. I know
Sure.
you keep reminding me that, hey, I do underwater photography, and how do I explain all of that over here? But we just have to kind of figure out a way. And by the way, I must point out over here, Tushar Abhyankar is a wildlife photographer.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so we've got quite a few talented folks. And if I get to introducing all of them and what they do, it will probably take another hour. Thank you
Oh,
all for joining this wonderful session, Beta. Once again, thank you so
yeah.
much for joining and having us.
Yeah. Last word. I think kudos for all of you joining in. If you are joining a session at 8 p.m. on Sunday, either you're outcast or you're really interested in fishes, right? So I mean,
No, nobody is.
so great job. I mean, kudos to all of you to show that interest, because I have to do a small rant, because fishes don't get the attention that large mammals get. They don't get even enough conservation funds, or they don't get enough attention, both from the public and from the government. It becomes responsible on small individuals like us who are interested to kind of make sure that at least some portion of India's wealth, aquatic wealth, doesn't disappear before we pass it on to the next generation. Yep. Yeah, that's what I wanted to convey. So,
Thank you so much, Beta. Thank
thank
you.
you.
And see you all soon and in the next session. And we are going to have one more and many more from Beta very soon. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Beta.